When I first read the gospel this week, where Jesus is telling the Pharisees and later the disciples regarding divorce, I was saying, oh no, not that one. What could possibly be said? And so many of my eyes are looking at me that have been married more than once. How could you possibly say it wrong and that you are put in adultery if you do? Well, I could have taken the easy way out and preached on the children. However, I believe it ties together. And if I researched it out, I might just be able to see this. You see, even when you go back to the time when this verse was written, marriages were different then. But men still divorced. And yes, things are different today, but men still divorce. In Jesus' time, women were the property of men and could be put out of the marriage according to the laws of the time. They were supposed to be for just cause, but who determined that? Women were put in a difficult situation, and most had to go back and live with their father, as they had no property of their own. The children were disadvantaged and had a hard time also. What if Jesus is saying not to minimize the little ones? He could mean all on the outskirts, women, children, different cultures. Divorce is a symptom of human failure. Humans don't love enough or the right things in a patriarchal Jewish society where only husbands had that prerogative. There was a prohibition of divorce which provided a safeguard for the women, who could be left seriously disadvantaged after a divorce. I must say, not unlike today. This concern for those who are vulnerable carries over into the verses of Mark 10 to 16 regarding the children being brought to Jesus. He always insisted on seeing them, and it seems the disciples were always trying to keep them away. Quoting from Mark G. Vitalis Hoffman, in the culture of Jesus' time, where honor and shame were decisive factors in determining behavior, people would be very eager to welcome someone of high status whose company could increase one's own honor. But women were of low status, so it seems the laws weren't clear. This passage speaks to me not of divorce, but the basis for the dehumanization of women and children. Jesus was always about the people, not so much the rules. If you are to guide your life by Jesus' teachings, you will see that if you respect women and children, divorce is okay. It is not meant that people should be together if it's hurtful. Jesus was suggesting, in my opinion, that if you enter a marriage, you should do what is good and kind for each other. But if not, there is a way out. Moses even gave them a commandment. Perhaps we don't need to read this as it is to individuals, but rather as something helpful for our community. When this passage is read in church, we tend to hear it in a personal way. If you have gone through a divorce, or someone close to you has, you might become ashamed or angry or whatever as an individual. I don't think this passage was for an individual. The Pharisees gave Jesus a test. There were several schools of thought on the matter of Jesus' time. The Romans had a way, and the Jewish community had a way, and Moses gave a commandment. It is a test about the laws, the legality of divorce. The Pharisees were trying to trap Jesus into telling him who was right. Which laws then should follow? Divorce was legal. Everyone agreed on that. They were trying to trap him, perhaps to use it against him down the road. Questions of marriage and divorce aren't simply a matter of legalities, but God's intentions that we be in a relationship of mutual dependence and respect. Jesus turned the tables, and as we have seen happen in the Gospels before, protected the vulnerable, the women. Men would go on in time, but because women belonged to the men, and so they were turned out, they would become very vulnerable. They owned nothing. They were under their dad's rules and then given to their husbands. A lot of the time without even knowing who that was. So Jesus was saying, men shouldn't treat this as a convenience for them. Jesus wants us all to live in community and respect one another. The vulnerable need to be protected from everything, not only divorce. This also applies to anyone, children, women, people on the outskirts. I think they were brought up a lot throughout the Bible. Even though this text is about divorce and the discussions that the Pharisees and disciples were having, I think it is really about what is going on with the little ones in society. That is why I think the readings might have been added together. The next paragraphs added on, bringing the children to Jesus to bless, and Jesus' reaction to them when they were being turned away. When this conversation took place, Jesus had already discussed with the disciples about going to Jerusalem to die, and what they were supposed to be doing after he was gone. Instead, we see the disciples trying to decide who was the most powerful among them. So when they were trying to keep the children from Jesus, even after all he had taught them, he says that welcoming the kingdom pretty much means welcoming the vulnerable, children especially, as they cannot do for themselves. It's pretty much up to us to care for them. All of the at-risk, those in need, and the most vulnerable among us. Community. It is not a community of the strong, wealthy, powerful, independent, but of the broken. And we are all broken in some way. Of those who cannot fend for themselves. They are the ones that learn that being in an honest relationship is what will get them to the kingdom. Part of being human is to be insecure and aware of our needs. In light of the cultural climate, both in Jesus' time and in ours, strength, power, and we tend to put ourselves down if we don't have them. But to enter the kingdom is to be like the little children, dependent on one another, and in so doing, dependent on God. When we come together on Sundays, we come where we are at the moment. Some are strong, confident, and helpful. Others are weak, dependent, and scared. But we all come together for the purpose of fellowship, relationship, healing, listening, and learning. This is what I believe Jesus is telling us. Don't take the law so seriously, but always come to Jesus for what we need. Take care of the vulnerable. We need to try in every situation to be the best, caring and loving. This is what also makes a marriage work. But it takes both partners. The line in the marriage vow that says, God joined together, don't let man put asunder. But this doesn't mean staying in a relationship that is one-sided and not respected by each person. It doesn't mean staying in a relationship that is cruel, where you fear for your life. It just means not to take it lightly, as the men of Jesus' time did. They had nothing to lose. Only the women and children lost everything. The women who heard these conversations with the Pharisees, I believe they only heard the good part, that they will enter the kingdom of heaven long before the powerful ones. Jesus was protecting the little ones. Those that are just following the law of the land. See it another way. It will be okay. Just like a lot of the meetings we have, we see Jesus protecting all of us. This is not personal to the people that some religions take it that way. It is belonging to a community, and within that community, taking care of the little ones.